SNP.
Well, hang on a minute. I mean, he's made a very strong point. You do not feel British, you don't accept British law, but you've accepted a free education at Islington College.
No, no, this was before I was practicing Islam. After I practiced Islam...
well, that was very convenient, wasn't it?
That's the way it was, isn't it?
So you got all your freebies and then you started practicing
Allah is
Islam.
the provider, not man. Allah is the one who provides. Allah is the one who teaches us.
Abu has found an increasing commitment to Islam. It reflects a tendency among young British Muslims to be more religious than their parents. This in marked contrast to the pattern followed by other groups such as Sikhs and Hindus. I'm on my way to see a professor to talk about what our survey tells us about the progress of the integration of the Muslim community. 12 years ago, Tariq Madood conducted a major survey of all ethnic minorities in this country.
Is there evidence in some way from this survey that the Muslim community is aberrant when you come to look at the broad swathe of immigrant communities that have come to Britain in the last 50 years?
I think Muslims do stand out. Broadly speaking, as people settle, they become anglicised in this particular respect. That is to say, they wear their religion more lightly. But not for Muslims. Political identification with Islam has definitely grown, and has grown more amongst young people, and has grown more amongst educated people.
Comparing our survey with the one 12 years ago, it seems the process of integration for Muslims has come to a standstill. Islam is providing a powerful alternative path for young Muslims born here, a quite different direction to the one being taken by this country.
By whatever measure you judge it, Britain is becoming a more liberal society. We drink more than any other country in Europe. Sex outside marriage is the norm. The law sanctions equal rights for women and for homosexuals. In part 2, we'll see where the morals of British Muslims come into conflict with the rest of the nation. And we'll be asking whether those differences are driving Muslims and non-Muslims further apart. Do British Muslims have different values from the rest of the nation? Many British Muslims define themselves by their religion and are openly critical of the liberal morality that they see around them. But whilst British values and Muslim values may be different, are they really incompatible?
Nothing symbolises the difference more than the veil. To some, it's a clear indication of the oppression of Muslim women. To compare the opinions of Muslims with those of Britain as a whole, we conducted a second survey of over 1,000 Britons, and we discovered that over half the British population think Muslim women are treated as second-class citizens. Rukia is a 24-year-old health worker in a hospital outside Manchester. When she was 21, she decided to wear the veil or niqab. It's a sign of her commitment to Islam.
What do you say to those people who might think that the veil was a symbol somehow of oppression, that in fact you're denied liberation?
I mean, stereotypes do come from reality as well. However, that is not the teaching of Islam. A lot of people have asked me in the past, did your parents force you? Are you married? Does your husband make you wear the niqab? None of which applies to me. It was a decision that I came to, my own desire to find out what it is to be a Muslim woman.
But Rukia is aware that wearing the veil does make her stand out.
But we live in a society here in which identity is paramount because of fear of terror. Do you feel easy wearing the veil in a society which is essentially unveiled?
Where I have suffered from verbal abuse, which is very Islamophobic, I have had fleeting thoughts, well, because I am living in a society where this isn't the norm, that is why this is happening.
But it seems that you're setting an extra hurdle which actually makes it difficult for people to communicate with you.
Are you finding it difficult to speak with me?
It's not that I'm scared or wary of who you are, it's that I actually long to see your face.
But that is the purpose of the veil, that you shouldn't, which is why I wear it.
But I won't visit any harm on you if I see your face. It's you perhaps are scared of me.
No, that's not how I think or why women are prescribed to cover.
You walked here, you said, well, I burnt off some calories. I thought it was interesting that beneath the veil, there's still the same concern that most people have.
I'm a normal, average girl with the same sorts of concerns and issues that everybody would about their waistline.
Well, I've never interviewed anybody through a veil before. I'd rather, in a way, she didn't wear it, because obviously when you communicate with somebody, it's a full facial thing, lips, cheeks, expression. But I wouldn't say she's oppressed.
In fact, covering the head, whether fully, as in the veil, or partially, as with the hijab, turns out not to be as indicative of oppression as commonly supposed. As far as most Muslims are concerned, it's for the woman to decide.
You can't force anyone to wear hijab. That's not promoted by Islam. All Islam does is encourage, and it's out of your own free will.
And 2 out of 3 women said they did not feel they were treated as second-class citizens. Those who grew up in this country felt even less oppressed.
Muslim attitudes towards equality between men and women are moving in the direction of mainstream Britain. But when it comes to sex between men and women, conservative attitudes are the order of the day. More than 3/4 of Muslims in Britain regard sex outside marriage as never acceptable, whilst the same proportion of Britons regard it as absolutely normal.
This attitude to sex was just as common amongst the young as the old. Growing up in this liberal society has not made all young Muslims liberal. Hina is a media studies student in East London. She and her friends are 19 years old, but it's marriage, not moving in with boyfriends, that they talk about.
When you get married? I don't know, stop asking me that question! Because, why is everybody always asking me every day? Because you're the most... this is just called... Yeah. Well, I'm not the oldest, you're the oldest. We're career women, that's why. We've got careers. Yeah, we have careers.
When it comes to marriage, the perception that young Muslims are forced to marry against their will is not the case. 9 out of 10 said that they should choose their own partners. I went to meet Hina at home, where she lives with her mother and father, to ask whether her Muslim upbringing created a barrier with her non-Muslim friends.
Hi, Hina, I'm John.
Hi John, how are you?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
The fact that your belief leads you not to smoke, not to drink, in fact not have boyfriends, the rest, do you feel it separates you from a very big part of the community?
Yeah, I mean nowadays socially you need to have a boyfriend, and you need to smoke, and you need to, you know, drink, and you need to do a whole load to fit into a social group. But I don't do them, and I still feel as though I can still like have many different friends and achieve what I really want to achieve in life. And
asking Hina about what she watches on television reveals one strongly held conservative opinion.
Do you watch Big Brother?
yeah,
Always?
yeah, fantastic.
And what do you think of the people on this one?
I don't know. Shaban's like, I've got a, you know, he's gay. And that's something, obviously, that's not in my religion or nothing.
You see, that's a big problem, isn't it? Because they say 1 in 10 people are gay in British society. I mean, what do you say to them?
I personally think they're just lost cause, aren't they? There's something that's not normal with them, because, you know, God created Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. You can't really go... I mean, man and female elope to continue humanity.
I mean, I have a lot of gay friends, yeah.
But gay is wrong. I would not encourage gay people being gay. No.
It's amazing, really, because Hina kind of sums up everything, so integrated and yet at the same time so separate. You have this sense of somebody who's completely at peace with the iPod, the internet, plugs into friends at university and all the rest of it, but I mean can't abide the thought of gays, completely integrated on the one hand and really very separate on the other.
At a time when gay partnerships have been legally recognised in Britain, over half of all Muslims think homosexuals should be banned from teaching in schools. Such views are only held by 1/4 of the general population. This conservatism sees many Muslims deeply critical of British values.
Anyway, they always have to be beautiful, they always have to be thin, they always have to impress other men on the street, and it's like, it's I feel sorry for them sometimes, to tell you the truth. Okay, I understand if a woman does want to show off her beauty to the whole world, that's different. But it's like, it seems to me like we're labelled as oppressed, but it seems to me like they're oppressed.
And as far as drinking is concerned, growing up in Britain has made Muslims aged between 18 and 24 take an even harder line against alcohol than their elders. For many Muslims, the criticisms go even further than these specific issues. 4 out of 10 say that they are offended by Britain's bad moral behaviour. This view is leading many Muslim families to change the way they're bringing up their children. Uzma and her husband Haroon Asif have 3 sons and live in Enfield. Uzma was born in Britain, she was brought up with British values, but Uzma's decided to reject the way she was raised.
In fact, you've made a very interesting life journey, really, from quite a secular start.
My father was very modern. He came to this country in the 1940s, and I think he thought he was just a white British person himself. You know, he wore the Harris tweed coat and the hat, and I think, you know, you grow up and you're just shown that this is the way people live, this is the best way, and there's no alternative. And I was very much sucked into that as well, so I integrated fully. It's only when I thought, well, no, actually, they have a lot of social problems. There are lots of complexities that we don't hear about.
Haroon came over from Pakistan 8 years ago and shares Uzma's views.
Were you shocked by what you found here, from a moral point of view?
Yeah, certain things really shocked me, really, the way people use alcohol and the women dress, and how women are treated here, really. I found that women were used more as a product to sell the products. They were like a business commodity here.
Uzma and Haroon, in common with 2/3 of Muslims we questioned, think British parents allow their children too much freedom. They keep their families separate from the aspects of British culture they disapprove of, only exposing them to what they see as positive influences. Today, they're at the Natural History Museum.
I know, isn't it big? What is it? It's a dinosaur.
See, look, because they log all the forest, that's one of the factors why rhinos are becoming extinct. Because obviously if they take away their habitat, how can they survive? Boys do go to a weekend school, so they supplement their sort of Islamic education on the weekends.
It's like a very big part of my life, because like on Saturdays and Sundays I go to Islamic school, and then like during the day we have to pray anyway, so it's like you just don't get out of your mind, so it's just imprinted there.
They find it hard though. They do find it hard. We all find it hard getting up on a Saturday morning and going to the mosque. You know, they'd rather be out playing. When they go to school, they're going to learn a different way of life. And my role is say, look, you know, this is my way of life. This is how I would like you to live your life. And I think it's while you're under my roof, you will live it that way.
Keeping their children separate from certain aspects of British culture has meant that almost half of Muslim parents in Britain today say they would rather send their children to an Islamic school. We were able to compare our findings with those of the last major survey in this area to get a real sense of what's happened to Muslim integration over the past 12 years.
Is the Muslim community more alienated than when you looked in 1994?
In the survey that we did in 1994, 24% of people said that they would send an 11-year-old child to a state-funded Muslim school. Now you find that it's 44% who say that. So that's definitely a growth towards a kind of more distinct Muslim community identity or practice.
1 in 3 Muslims disapprove of the freedoms allowed in this country and would rather live under Sharia law. That is the law as laid down by the Quran. And the same number dream that one day Britain will become an Islamic state. I went to Peckham in South London to meet 29-year-old Hakan Han, a Turkish Cypriot in origin who believes that life under Sharia law would be better. Religious courts and rule by imams would, he believes, be far more effective than the current system.
I feel that democracy altogether isn't working as a system. I believe that man-made laws really isn't the answer. Why not go back to ruling from the church.